Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're going to start learning target 2.2, which is having to do with demographic factors and population pyramids. You guys should in eighth grade have gone over population pyramids, so maybe that word rings a bell for you guys. Um, but if not right now, hopefully kind of comes back to you as we go through this here. All right, so the learning target for today is I can describe the impact that infant mortality rate, fertility rate, and life expectancy have on a country's population. So, geographers measure population change through three indicators. What are those three indicators? The first one is going to be the natural increase rate. All right, and so all the natural increase rate is the percent in which population grows in the course over a year. All right, and so this isn't considering migration, it's just the population in that country. Two is the crude birth rate, which is basically the total number of live births per 1,000 people. And then same thing with crude death rate. It's just the total number of deaths in a year for every 1,000 people. So those are just three terms that you're going to have to know as we go through the rest of this PowerPoint. Um, so pause this video now if you need to write these down or take a note of these somewhere because you're going to have to know these three terms. Now, what do these three terms have in common? Well, in order to find the natural increase rate, you have to be able to take the crude birth rate minus the crude death rate and then divide that number by 10. What is the total fertility rate? That is the average number of children a woman will have throughout her childbearing years. So, on average, how many kids is a woman having? All right, we look at the United States 2 to 2.9. Sounds about right here. But what do we notice about the different parts of the world? All right, looks like most of Europe is about 1 to 1.9, so they're not having too many. Asia, they're not having too many either. But let's take a look here at Africa. All right, a little bit less developed, not a whole lot of money in this continent as a whole. And as a result, birth rates are going to be higher because they don't have access to things like contraceptives, right? Infant mortality rate kind of goes along the same line as the total fertility rate. All right, so total fertility rate, how many children a woman can expect to have. Infant mortality rate, the annual number of deaths of infants under 1 year of age for every 1,000 live births. All right, so the reason why we might look at the infant mortality rate is to see maybe where nonprofit organizations can go to give them medical supplies to help their healthcare system to keep these babies alive, maybe to go and support these new mothers. All right. And so, generally, more developed countries have a higher chance of survival in the first year of living. And then countries that are dark red here don't have as high of survival rates. All right. So chart here, infant mortality rate per 1,000 live births. All right. So go ahead, 100 and above, 50 to 99, 25 to 49, 10 to 24, and so on. Life expectancy, the average number of years a person born in a particular country might be expected to live. Again, we're going to see the um, more developed countries have higher life expectancies, and the less developed countries have lower life expectancies. There are still countries that have life expectancies in their 40s. While we can expect in the United States to live around to be 77 and a half or so. All right, that's the average life expectancy. And one thing that I want to point out here is maybe how can war affect a country's life expectancy. All right, most of the people going into war are in their 20s, maybe 30s, but mainly going to be in their 20s. And war has death. And when there's death, that changes the life expectancy. All right, so maybe if there's a country that is in the middle of a civil war that's killing a bunch of 20 to 30-year-olds, that life expectancy is going to get dramatically lowered. All right, now moving on to population pyramids. You might see this picture here down on the bottom looks eerily similar. All right, the shape of a country's pyramid is determined primarily by CBR, or the crude birth rate. And in population pyramids, it's populations in millions, males generally on the left side, females generally on the right side. So this is the United States in 2012. So as we get older, obviously there's going to be less and less. So there's not a whole lot of 100-year-olds. There's not a whole lot of 95-year-olds. There are going to be a lot of babies here. You guys here know the term "okay, boomer"? Well, here's the baby boom, the boomer generation. Now let's look at the three different types of population pyramids here. We have three different types: rapid growth, slow growth, and zero growth or negative growth. Kenya is a good example on the left-hand side of a rapid growth because there are just a lot of babies being born. Then as we go up, there are fewer and fewer people that are getting older. All right, so that means that their population is probably going to be increasing dramatically because more people are being born than dying. All right, the United States is a good example of slow growth. All right, because you see it's a little bit fatter of a pyramid as we go up. All right, and so you can just tell maybe that there are still more babies being born than people dying because it's still a little bit skinnier up top, but it's definitely not as dramatic as a rapid growth model like we see with Kenya there. All right, so there's still some growth in the United States, but it's nowhere near as fast as Kenya. But then Italy, on the right-hand side of your screen here, this is a good representation of zero growth or a decrease of growth. All right, and so maybe if you look at the top third here, and then the bottom third, it looks like those could be very, very similar, if not more older people than younger people. All right, so Italy is actually experiencing no growth, or they might even be losing population as a whole. So I just want to take a look at Italy's population pyramids over the years here. So in 2000, this is what Italy's population pyramids look like. All right, so this is probably like a no growth model, I would say. This is a prediction for 2025. All right, now this is definitely a negative growth model. They're definitely losing population here. And let's take a look at what the prediction is for 2050. It's still even more dramatic. They're just going to keep losing and losing people. All right, and these charts are from a few years ago. All right, they're not from 2020. They're a few years old. And so I want you to think here. Italy is one of the highest concentrations of coronavirus, COVID-19, on the entire Earth right here, right now. So what effect will COVID-19 have on these pyramids? All right, I just got this chart yesterday. As of March 31st, Italy here has the most deaths in the entire world for COVID-19. They have 12,428 deaths. All right, they have 105,000 cases. Did this have any effect on population pyramid? If so, how? All right, that's all I have for you today. Now what you need to go over and do is on Google Classroom, there is a little Google form quiz that you need to fill out having to do with the natural increase rate, crude birth rate, crude death rate, and then also some free thinking about Italy and their population pyramids.